Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a ton of huge news to share with all of you today. Today's date is September 13th, 2025, and it's Saturday. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend so far. We have lots of very big news to get into with this war update. We'll start out with a huge story out of Russia. Earlier today, Ukrainian drones struck another oil refinery as they continue to destroy Russia's oil and gas industry. Let's talk about this new report here on your screen. Ukraine attacks Russia's Novo-Ufa oil refinery. Fire breaks out on site. A drone struck the Novo-Ufa oil refinery in Russia's Bashkortostan region on September 13th. The facility is located in the city of Ufa, more than 1,800 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. You heard that right, 1,800 kilometers, almost 2,000 kilometers deep into Russian territory is where this Novo-Ufa oil refinery is located in the Bashkortostan region. Taking a direct hit from Ukrainian drone, there was reports that at least two were trying to target the facility. One of them apparently were shot down, the other slammed directly into it. And we can see in the picture here today, a major fire broke out and possible huge damage to this facility. We'll talk more about this story in just a moment. I've got videos and pictures coming out from that area. We're also going to talk more about the Zapad 2025 military exercises with Russian and Belarusian troops near Poland's border. Lots of developments coming out from that area. Major tensions between NATO and Russia right now. I've got videos coming out from Kaliningrad that are very disturbing as well. Also, U.S. President Donald Trump made a huge announcement today. He is willing to put sanctions onto Russia, but apparently there's going to be a catch to that. We'll talk about what that catch is going to be. And also, very big news, a Russian drone may have flown into Romania today. This is a NATO nation right to the south of Poland. And this is a NATO nation that has been attacked by Russian drones before. And we have reports that at least one drone may have crossed into Romania today. And that's very bad news, as just a few days ago we had a huge attack onto Poland. And Poland is beefing up their air defenses right now on the eastern side of their territory to prepare for any further provocation coming from the Russians, as they recently were just attacked by more than 20 drones this past Wednesday. So lots of news to report to you guys today. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. We're going to hop on over here to X now. Unfortunately, today I don't have a map from Drone Bomber as we typically do to show you guys the trajectory of drones going into Russia. They unfortunately did not post one today. I'm not sure why, but there were drones going into Russia clearly because we had one striking this oil refinery today. So this is from Max25 and it says Ufa. We've got a video here to show you guys about 13 seconds this drone slamming directly into this plant. Take a look.
Охренеть! Ёб твою! Ёбаный насос! Охренеть!
All right, so we can see this giant drone slamming directly into the Novo-Ufa oil refinery over here in the Bashkortostan region. Huge fire breaking out, massive blaze right there. This is probably going to be major damage to this facility. We'll talk about what could have been hit here. I do have some information on that today. And some people talking about down here what kind of drone this could have been. It says, looks like an Aeropract A-22 UAV. Very cheap and very deadly. So these are drones that Ukraine has that kind of looks like a lightweight aircraft. They're very large, and sometimes they can carry Fab 250 glide bombs or giant bombs underneath these aircraft, and if they crash into something, it'll create a massive explosion. So it's very possible that could have been the type of drone that was used here. We do know that the Aeropract A-22 UAV does have a range of over 2,000 kilometers, so it could have possibly been used to strike this facility, considering it was 1,800 kilometers into Russia. Now from Special Curse Cat, just now, Novo-Ufa oil refinery with a capacity of 7.5 million tons of oil per year was attacked by drones in Ufa, Russia. Novo-Ufa oil refinery is located more than 1,350 kilometers from the front line. Okay, so here's another video coming out, guys, about 15 seconds. Take a look. There's a fire right there.
Вон опять стреляют. Ну или взрывается.
All right, so as we can see from these videos coming out today, there is definitely a fire that broke out there after this drone directly slammed into this plant. And again, I do have information from some open source intelligence groups on what type of damage may have ensued here. Here's one more video from Max 25. Beautiful view from Ufa. One more video coming out showing people driving through the city of Ufa, and you can see this huge fire over here that broke out on the facility of this oil refinery today. So absolutely massive hit from Ukrainian drones once again, and way deep into Russia. I can't believe almost 2,000 kilometers they're still able to strike with these drones. Now for Max 25, AFU attacked Novo-Ufa Refinery. According to Cyber Barashno, that's going to be that open source intelligence group giving us information on this strike today. It says potential consequences of such a strike: stoppage of raw material transportation between tanks and technological installations, failure of control and automation systems, need to stop part of the process to localize the accident. Yeah, I'm sure at least temporarily they'll have to shut this facility down due to this huge fire that broke out. But still waiting for further confirmation on the extent of the damages here. If we get that information, I'll let you guys know. But Cyber Barashno kind of showing where this strike took place at. Looks like some pipelining here that may have been attacked by this Ukrainian drone. So very huge hit from Ukraine. As soon as I get information, I'll do another update for you guys and give you some info on this strike. Now let's hop on over to Google Maps. I'll kind of show you guys where this facility is located again, about 1,800 kilometers deep into Russia. It's going to be over here near the Kazan region, way past Moscow right there. Here's Ukraine down here. And Kazan is actually a region that comes under attack frequently. This is the Tatarstan Republic, where Russia has multiple UAV plants over here. They're producing lots of Shahed drones in this area, so they flew even past that. This is an area that gets attacked frequently from Ukrainian Lyuti drones. So over here in the Bashkortostan region, right in the central portion of it, we'll zoom in to the city of Ufa. Okay, it's going to be on the northern side of the city of Ufa. They have a huge oil refinery here. I mean, look at the size of it. It stretches all the way from down here all the way up to the top over here. Absolutely massive. Lots of different oil storage tanks located here at this facility. Probably one of the largest ones we've seen. When we take a look at a lot of these, I mean, look at it. It goes all the way up here too, and then also over here to the east. So absolutely huge facility. Somewhere here is where we had this huge strike in the city of Ufa, again on the northern side there. So there you go, just for reference, so that way you guys see how far into Russia this really is, okay? So very, very deep strike from Ukrainian drones today. Now from current report, just in, Russia has reportedly deployed Iskander missiles in Kaliningrad highway, only a few kilometers from the Polish border. Yeah, take a look at this. You're going to see two of them here lined up in the streets inside of Kaliningrad. This is in Russian territory, slammed in between Poland and Lithuania, separate from Russia's mainland. Take a look. All right, definitely very concerning to see this being right next to Poland's borders. And these are nuclear-capable missiles as well. These are ballistic missiles that strike frequently inside of Ukraine. We've reported ballistic missile strikes with Iskanders being used a lot. Some of these systems were actually just destroyed back up in a strike that Ukraine carried out into the Bryansk region just north of Ukraine's border. So definitely tensions are very high right now on the eastern flank of NATO, especially around Kaliningrad and inside Belarus with these Zabad 2025 military drills ongoing. So very crazy to see video footage like that coming out from Kaliningrad today. Now for Max 25, numerous fires have been reported near the fortified area and Russian air defense positions in western Crimea near Olenevka, according to Krymsky Veter. Okay, so these are new images coming out. These are fire maps from NASA firms maps that indicate fires that broke out inside of Crimea overnight. I'm not sure if Crimea was attacked. We do know that Ukraine was carrying out drone attacks inside of Russia. They've been doing this pretty much every single day for well over a year now. And just maps coming out showing some fires that broke out on potential air defense positions inside of Crimea. We have seen strikes like this on the southern side close to Sevastopol. That's probably what Ukraine was going after, was more air defense positions. We've been seeing them destroying a lot of radars and also air defense positions inside of Crimea. So that way they can utilize a lot of drone attacks to carry out more strikes and destroy critical Russian military equipment and defensive positions on the Crimean Peninsula. Now for NOAA reports, according to the well-informed channel Dossier Spiona, 2 Russian Panzer S-1 systems were destroyed in the past 24 hours. The first strike hit an airfield in occupied Luhansk around 2 a.m. with a Ram-2X drone. The second attack took place in Sizhny, Sizny Donetsk region, also eliminating a Panzer S-1, though the type of drone used is unknown. Yeah, so this is going to be Dulce Espiona. This is going to be a very reliable source out of Russia, actually, a Russian Telegram channel that was reporting 2 Panzer S-1 air defense systems were destroyed. Here's a picture of what these systems look like. One of them going to be in the Luhansk region in eastern Ukraine and also in southeastern Ukraine in the Donetsk region. Reportedly, 2 of these being knocked out over the last 24 hours. So if that happens to be true, that is very, very big news for Ukraine. All right, now from Igor Sushko, Russia factory burned down in Irkutsk region. Claimed to be a plywood manufacturer, but with nationwide military mobilization of industries, it's difficult to know for sure it's just plywood. Yeah, yet again, another major factory or warehouse burning down inside of Russia. We report this at least once or twice a week, and a lot of times could it be very suspicious that maybe it's being used for military purposes. We do know that Russia utilizes a lot of civilian plants to store military hardware and sometimes produce military hardware as well. So cannot completely confirm yet if this is connected to Russia's military, but yet again, huge fire inside of Russia in the Irkutsk region. Now, Ozen Technical, another major earthquake rocked Russia's Far East this morning, with the USGS reporting a magnitude 7.4 quake just 70 miles to the east of the Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. The city hosts the Russian Navy's Rybachi submarine base and the Russian Air Force's Yelizovo Air Base. Okay, so we have yet again another major earthquake taking place in Russia's Far East off the coast of Kamchatka. This is where we just had a major earthquake. I think it was an 8.8 magnitude back on July 29th. Now today on September 13th, we had another huge earthquake very close to Russia's submarine base over here, and also they've got an air base located in this area. This kind of a map showing where the epicenter of this earthquake took place. There was reports of like tsunami warnings, but as far as we know, a lot of those have been canceled. Nothing too crazy coming from this incident, but just wanted to report we did have another major earthquake in this similar area. I think the last one was a little bit more south over here somewhere, but very close, kind of the same area, very active with earthquakes right now, and very interesting. Here's video now from Vicegrad 24, 7.4 magnitude earthquake has hit 110 kilometers or 70 miles to the east of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. The city hosts the Russian Navy's Rybachi submarine base and the Russian Air Force's Yelizovo Air Base. So we got video coming out showing this radio tower. You're going to be seeing it swinging around a lot due to this earthquake over here. About 19 seconds. Take a look. All right, we can see a lot of shaking over here with this radio tower right there. 7.4 magnitude earthquake striking the eastern side of Russia today. If we get more information on that, I'll let you guys know. So far, nothing more than just some major shaking over here. Now for military news UA, I'm ready to impose serious sanctions against the Russian Federation when all NATO countries do the same and stop buying Russian oil, says Trump. Yeah, here's Trump today on True Social announcing that he is ready to put sanctions onto Russia, but with a catch. Let's talk about this. It says, a letter sent by President Donald J. Trump to all NATO nations and the world. I'm ready to do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing. When all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia, as you know, NATO's commitment to win has been far less than 100%, and the purchase of Russian oil by some has been shocking. It greatly weakens your negotiating position and bargaining power over Russia. Anyway, I'm ready to go when you are. Just say when. I believe that this, plus NATO as a group placing 50 to 100% tariffs on China to be fully withdrawn after the war with Russia and Ukraine is ended, will also be of great help in ending this deadly but ridiculous war. China has a strong control and even grip over Russia, and these powerful tariffs will break that grip. This is not Trump's war. It would never have started if I was president. It is Biden's and Zelensky's war. I am only here to help stop it and save thousands of Russian and Ukrainian lives. 7,118 lives lost that last week alone. Crazy. If NATO does as I say, the war will end quickly and all of those lives will be saved. If not, you are just wasting my time and the time, energy, and the money of the United States. Thank you for the attention. Your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So Trump proposing or demanding that NATO stop purchasing Russian oil. We know that some European nations, for example, like Slovakia and Hungary, still purchasing oil from Russia. He wants them to stop buying oil from Russia, and then on top of that, impose 50 to 100% tariffs onto China. We heard recently that Europe was not going to be willing to do that, so I'm not sure how this is going to go, but Trump is willing to impose some sanctions or tariffs onto Russia as well, possibly lining up with what Europe would do. Maybe he would impose some tariffs onto China also to help end this war. So he's on board with doing that, but he wants Europe to start off first with these tariffs onto China and stop purchasing this oil from Russia. So let's see what Europe does in response to that. All right, now for Max 25, U.S. NATO allies in Europe are concerned about Trump's muted response to the Russian drone attack in Poland and are beginning to question Washington's readiness to protect them from possible threats, according to Reuters. So it looks like Europe is very concerned about Trump staying, for the most part, pretty silent regarding this attack onto Poland last Wednesday. Trump told a reporter yesterday on camera that apparently he is unhappy about this attack onto Poland, but he believes that maybe it could have been a mistake. Now, is he stating that it is a mistake? No, not necessarily, but he believes that there's a possibility it was a mistake. But as most of us probably know, this was definitely a deliberate attack directly onto Poland. There's numerous reports coming out that a lot of these drones were fitted with extra fuel tanks on board, even jamming equipment to prevent them from being taken down by electronic warfare. So clearly these drones were flying directly into Poland, and Europe is very concerned about Trump's quietness here and not showing a whole lot of concern regarding these drones attacking Poland. They're afraid that maybe in the future, if they come under attack, the U.S. might not back them. Now for military news UA, Trump has recently begun to doubt his ability to influence Putin. He has admitted to his confidence that he misjudged Putin's desire for peace, according to Axios today. Okay, so Axios, mainstream news outlet, reporting that Trump is apparently beginning to doubt his ability to influence Putin to end this war. That apparently he's told people close to him behind closed doors that he believes that he's misjudging Putin's desire for peace. So looks like Trump is more and more every day feeling that maybe he cannot end this war alone. That's why he's calling on Europe to do so. But we know a large part of that is because Trump does not want to take the blame for, destroying Russia's economy, for example, if these tariffs happen to go into effect onto China. And if Russia can no longer sell oil to China, that's definitely going to hurt them. He wants to be able to do business with Russia in the future. So we know that's a large part of it. But let me know how you feel in that report today. Now from Ukrainian Review, fuel crisis in Russia is gaining momentum after Ukrainian drone strikes on refineries. Gasoline shortage has already hit more than 20 regions. While earlier the shortage was recorded in the Far East and occupied Crimea, in September it hit 10 more regions: Ryazan, Nizhny Novgorod, Saratov, Samara, Ulyanovsk, Penza, Rostov, and Astrakhan regions, as well as Kamilkia and Tatarstan. Some refineries have not supplied 92nd and 95th gasoline for several weeks, and some are closed altogether. This was video footage coming out showing one of the oil refineries in Russia that were hit in recent weeks. Some more reports now coming out regarding this fuel crisis inside of Russia continuing to worsen. More than 20 regions now being reported as of yesterday on Russian media are being affected by these gasoline shortages. So it's getting worse and worse inside of Russia. They're talking about the different regions that are now being affected, many of these now on the western side of Russia. Now from Kyiv Insider, the fuel crisis in Russia continues to spiral, with whole regions of the country now out of gasoline. Here's new video footage coming out from Russia. I'm not sure what region this is, but this is yet again another huge line of cars at a gas station. This is just continuing to happen more and more every single day. And some of these lines we've heard could be like 3.5, 4 hours long. This video is probably going to show roughly about 100, maybe 200 cars just in this one line right here. I mean, you can see it just keeps going and going. We'll fast forward this a little bit. This line is still continuing to go. So these people in the very back, yeah, probably 4 hours waiting. There's the end of the line right there. Probably a good 100 cars there just in that one line waiting for this gas station. Some reports even that the entire regions are completely out of gas, where pretty much no matter where you go within that region, there's no gas anywhere at any of the gas stations. Now from Visioner, the geography of the fuel crisis in Russia has expanded. As for the occupied Crimea and the Russian Far East, some gas stations that are either irregularly operating or not working at all. Here's a map that was coming out on iz.ru. This is going to be a mainstream news outlet out of Russia. This is what they're reporting. So this is where a lot of the Gas shortages were first taking place was on the far eastern side of Russia, closer to where like North Korea would be down here. And then now it's starting to spread over to the western side, getting closer to where Ukraine is at. Look at all these different regions that are now being affected. So this thing is getting worse by the day. And as Ukraine continues to strike more oil refineries and keep them shut down, this is only going to spread and affect more regions. And a lot of people live more on this side of Russia than they do on this side. So it's really going to hurt the Russian economy even further. Now, Max 25 at around 4 a.m. tonight. At the Kubinka military airfield, Moscow region, a Russian Su-30SM or Su-35 fighter crashed during landing, according to Exile Nova. The pilot of the plane was a colonel of the Russian Aerospace Forces. The pilot is in serious condition. Yeah, this report actually came out yesterday evening. You can see here September 12th, 2025. Apparently this happened yesterday evening where we had a Russian Su-30SM or possibly an Su-35 that had crashed during landing. Okay, so more destruction to Russia's Air Force here. We've been reporting for months now, just so many aircraft either being shot down, crashing, being destroyed at airfields from drone attacks. So another huge hit to Russia's Air Force. Now from next to breaking, Poland scrambles military jets over drone threat. Lublin Airport has been closed. Air defense units are on high alert on the ground. Okay, this is going to be in eastern Poland. There's apparently a lot of drones attacking into Ukraine again tonight. There's drones reportedly on the western side of Ukraine. This is going to be the border of Ukraine right here, and this is going to be Poland. And apparently the Lublin airport is shut down again. There was reports as well that I could not confirm that apparently there was some military equipment coming into Lublin that was supposed to be there for Ukraine. So I wonder if that's why they're shutting down that airport. Maybe it's going to come under attack. I don't know if more drones are going to cross into Poland again, but they are getting ready for possible drones entering into their territory again, as there's drones reported on the western side of Ukraine. But so far, no drones have been reported inside of Polish airspace just yet. Now for military news UA, Russian kamikaze drone Shahid has just flown into Romanian territory, monitoring channels say. Okay, so it's kind of unconfirmed at the moment. Mainstream news not talking about this just yet. This was like a preliminary report with a lot of these drones that were attacking the western side of Ukraine. Apparently one of them had flown through the Odessa region on over to Romania, going to be like on the south side of Romania, and reportedly could have crashed over there. We'll wait for more information. If I get some updates, I'll let you guys know. But we could have yet again another drone incursion of NATO airspace, this time in Romania. All right, now for more translated. NATO has launched exercises in Lithuania under Grand Eagle 25 to train rapid troop deployment. Okay, this is very big also. This is more show that NATO is getting very serious and preparing for any possible attack coming from the Russians in the near future, possibly. They're preparing to transfer troops from Germany through Poland on over to Lithuania over here, and also transport them through the Baltic Sea over to Lithuania and some of the other Baltic nations if an attack happens to take place. So they are definitely preparing for any provocation coming from the Russians right now. As we know, again, these Zapad 2025 military exercises are ongoing inside of Belarus, right in this area, next to Poland and Lithuania. So NATO taking things very seriously with more military exercises. Now from Anton Gerashenko, India's largest port operator bans sanctioned tankers from its harbors. Although India publicly resists the threats of Donald Trump refusing to officially halt purchases of Russian oil, more and more obstacles are emerging in the way of these supplies. The country's largest private port operator, Adani Group, has banned any tankers under Western sanctions from entering all of its ports, Reuters reports. Adani, which manages 14 ports, is expected to deal a blow to shipments carried out in part of by Russia's shadow fleet. For example, the Indian refining company HPCL Metal Energy, which owns a refinery with a capacity of 226,000 barrels per day, receives all of its crude through one of Adani's ports. This port is located in the city of Mundra and is India's largest commercial port by cargo volume. Here's a report from Reuters today. India's Adani bans entry of sanctioned ships at its port, sources say. Okay, so while we're hearing that India is not going to stop the purchases of Russian oil, we have some companies, oil companies inside of India that are actually banning the entry of any sanctioned vessels of Russia's shadow fleet. So that's good to see. It's affecting them in that way, but we are still continuing to hear that they are purchasing Russian oil, but they're just not they're not allowing the ships that are sanctioned to come into their ports and drop off oil into India. So very good news to hear that it is continuing to make things very difficult for India to purchase Russian oil. And we'll see what the U.S. and Europe decide to do with China here in the near future. Now for Max 25, Ukraine to receive 246.5 million in financial assistance from Japan, according to the Ministry of Finance. The funds will be allocated to support the efforts of the Ukrainian government to create an investment management system in the context of post-war recovery and reconstruction. Okay, so very good news to hear. Japan coming out with some financial assistance for Ukraine in the amount of 246.5 million. Apparently, it's going to help them out with investment management system and also post-war recovery and reconstruction when this war comes to an end. So huge support coming out from Japan. We've been hearing a lot of reports of them helping out Ukraine recently. Now from NOAA reports, Denmark will provide an additional $375 million to Ukraine under the new Ukraine Transition Program for 2025 to 2028, focused on rebuilding infrastructure, aiding veterans and displaced persons, and supporting reforms. Around 60% of the funds will go to the Mykolaiv region. Okay, so very big news out of Denmark as well, helping out with $375 million in support to Ukraine to help out on rebuilding infrastructure being destroyed, aiding veterans, displaced people that have been missing during this war, and also supporting reforms. And about 60% of this money will be going to the Mykolaiv region. It's going to be down in the southern side of Ukraine. That area gets hammered a lot by Russian glide bombs. Lots of destruction there in Mykolaiv region. Now, NOAA reports updates SBU drone strikes on Primorsk port yesterday damaged two Shadow Fleet tankers, Kusto and Kayun. Reuters reports operations at the key Russian oil terminal were temporarily halted. Experts estimate the port's daily trade at around 100 million. Here's a report today. Ukrainian drones disrupt Russia's key western oil terminal for the first time. So we talked about this yesterday. The Primorsk port up near St. Petersburg in northwestern Russia came under attack by Ukrainian drones. We heard a pumping station got hit, and apparently there was at least one vessel that came under attack as well, an oil vessel. And apparently, according to this information today from Reuters, there was actually two of them that got hit, the Kusto and the Kayun. So apparently two of them got hit and catching on fire. There was reports of oil spills as well in that area. We had pictures that I showed you guys yesterday. Apparently one of these tankers could have leaked some oil due to this strike. So Ukraine is not only going after ports and oil refineries, but they're also going after these sanctioned Russian vessels, these Shadow Fleet tankers that are used to transport oil, now that we have two of these that were struck. All right, now from Visioner, G7 considers new sanctions against Russia's allies. According to Reuters today, finance ministers of the G7 countries discussed the introduction of additional sanctions and trade tariffs against states that help Kremlin wage war against Ukraine. Here's a report today from Reuters. G7 finance ministers discuss possible sanctions, tariffs on supporters of Russia's war. That's interesting. So it looks like the G7 is taking this into consideration, possibly ready to sanction or tariff nations that are supporting Russia. So, for example, China, India, Brazil. Are we going to see some sanctions coming from the G7 here very soon? Looks like the G7 nations could be on board with this, as Trump was calling on them yesterday to take action against Russia, go after their trading partners or anybody that's directly supporting Russia's military in this fight against Ukraine. So very big news. If we get more updates on that, I'll let you guys know. Now for Max 25, Putin can strike at the Verkhovna Rada, and it's only a matter of time if this happens during a parliamentary session. The country may become incapacitated, People's Deputy Kostenko. Yeah, could this be a possibility? This is something that Ukraine has warned about before, that Ukraine's parliament could come under attack. Imagine if there was a parliamentary session taking place and it was packed with all kinds of Ukrainian representatives. And if it came under attack and we had a lot of people that were taken out in this strike, then that could be very bad for Ukraine, right? So apparently People's Deputy Kostenko is warning about this today inside of Ukraine, that Russia may carry out an attack onto their parliamentary building, the Verkhovna Rada. So not good news to hear about that. Now for more translated, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Polish and allied aircraft are now active in national airspace due to the threat from Russian drones near the border with Ukraine. Ground-based air defense systems have been placed on the highest alert. Here's Donald Tusk today on X, the Prime Minister out of Poland. He says, due to the threat posed by Russian drones operating over Ukraine near the border with Poland, preventative operations of Aviation, Polish and allied, have begun in our airspace. Ground-based air defense systems have reached the highest state of readiness. So yesterday I did report to you guys that NATO was going to be reacting and deploying assets over to Eastern Europe on the eastern flank, closer to Belarus and Russia. A lot of these nations that could be attacked by Russian drones, just like Poland was back on Wednesday. They were going to be launching a new operation called Operation Eastern Sentry, and they were going to be deploying fighter jets over there, air defense systems, troops as well. So NATO is not messing around, and it looks like, according to Donald Tusk, they are ready to go, and they have had air defense systems already set up over there that are high state of readiness right now. They are ready for any potential Russian drone attacks here in the near future. So that was very quick, like within 24 hours, they're ready to go. Now for Max 25, thousands of Poles like Jadrusek, if I'm saying that right, are signing up for voluntary military training as Poland's army seeks to fill its ranks with professional and voluntary personnel amid escalating concerns over Russia's military aggression. According to Reuters today, here's the report. Fearful of Russian aggression, Poles flock to military training. So apparently a lot of Polish citizens are starting to sign up for voluntary military training as they're getting ready for any potential war with Russia in the future. This shows that Poland is very serious, that, they believe there is a potential fight coming in the future with NATO and Russia. And if this war breaks out, they're going to be directly on the front line. So a lot of people are getting ready for any potential attack from Russia in the future and a huge war to break out. So huge report from Reuters today. Now Max 25, Ukrainian air defense shot down 137 out of 164 Russian drones. 0 out of 1 Iskander-M or KN-23 ballistic missiles. So a lot of drones going into Ukraine overnight, 165 in total with this missile that was fired, and a good majority being shot down, 137 out of 164. Very good news to hear. Not too many reports of damages inside of Ukraine overnight. It makes sense because we had so many of these that were being shot down. But regardless, a pretty large drone attack onto Ukraine overnight. Now, our final update from the Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of September 13th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update, Russia's losses as of September 13th, 950 troops, 1 AFV, 109 vehicles and fuel tanks, 4 tanks, 39 artillery systems, 358 UAVs, 1 MLRS, and it looks like that is it over the last 24 hours. So once again, another multiple launch rocket system being destroyed. We've seen at least 1 or 2 of these per day for more than a week now. Artillery systems about average, tanks and AFVs still very low numbers. We haven't seen a whole lot of fluctuations here in this area. Same with vehicles and fuel tanks, up maybe a little bit. We usually see closer to like 75 right here. And then aside from that, troop numbers up a tiny bit today, usually about 800-900 on average, but still right about with the same numbers we have been seeing for a while now. So I want to thank you guys very much for being here for today's update on September 13th, 2025 on Saturday. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Just a kind reminder to let you know I most likely will not be here tomorrow. Sundays are my allocated day off to spend some time with myself and my family and just have a break from the news. But otherwise, I will be returning on September 15th on Monday to share more news with you guys coming out from this war. So take care, everybody out there, and stay safe. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.